So good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Business Model Elaboration webinar that is being implemented in the framework of the In-Transit project. I am Cristina Garufalia. I am a project manager at the International Collaborations Division at Coralia, that is an In-Transit consortium partner. For your information, this session is being recorded and will be available after the end of the session. Before we start, let's take a look at our agenda today. So the presentation will last for about 30 minutes and will be followed by 20-minute Q&A session, and we will be having hopefully 5 minutes in the end for conclusions. Please remember to mute your microphone unless you're the speaker, of course. And if you have a question, you may either raise your hand, write it in the chat, or save it for the end, for the session in the end. So our speakers today, our main speaker today will be Andrew Goblon. Andrew is a project manager at the construction cluster of Slovenia. He is highly experienced in business model context, and he has been leading trainings and workshops since 2015 on this topic. Orpheas Voutiras, on behalf of Coralia, will be supporting the discussion. He holds a diploma of electrical and computer engineering, and he has coordinated numerous research and innovation projects related to ICT and space. He has been an advisor at Coralia since 2016, mainly focusing on the growth of our space cluster, of the Hellenic Space Technologies and Application cluster. So these are more or less the topics we will be discussing today. What is a business model, its building blocks, the business model visualization, some examples, and hopefully we'll have some interaction on this part. The business model patterns, if an organization can have one or more business models depending on its needs and perspective, the example of uses of the business model canvas, circular and digital business models, and some tips in the end. So now, without any further delay, I will now give the floor to Andrew.
Thank you very much, Cristina, for this introduction, and hello to everybody who is participating in this webinar. So let's start with the question, what is a business model? So as Cristina said, I'm from construction cluster of Slovenia, and as a construction engineer 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about business models. Then we started to participate in one European project, and I started to be interested in this topic, and we have started to learn and quickly recognized that this is a very important topic for cluster. For example, we need to know what is our cluster business model. So the question is, do we understand business models equally? I mean, do we understand the business models on the same way? What is a business model? Next slide, please, Cristina. As an engineer, I start with definitions. So next slide, please. So I started to look for definitions on Google, and here we can see that the second definition, a thing used as an example to follow or imitate, is a pretty good example of what model could be. So let's go to the next slide. And this is the so-called official definition by Alexander Osterwalder and Jess Pingot, who wrote the famous book Business Model Generation. So their definition is, business model is the rationale for how the organization produces, delivers, and captures value. And focus in this definition is on value. Please go to the next slide and next. And that means that how an organization produces and delivers value for its customers and captures value for itself. As you can see in this definition, there is no mention about product, service, whatever. it's only about value. Let's go to the next slide. So customers buy if they recognize the value in the offer. Or with the other words, if customers don't recognize the value, if our product or service don't solve any problems our customers have, they will not buy. It's as simple as that. So let's go to the next slide. Here we can see from what a business model is consists. What are the building blocks of a business model? Let's go to the next slide. First, as we said, we need to have customers. Those customers must have some specific problem or need or even a wish. And we want to answer these problems, needs, or wishes with our products or services, which are not value proposition, but related with value proposition. We don't know, in the first iteration, we probably don't know what is the real value proposition for our customers. We will recognize this later. So the next building block in the business model, next slide, please, Christina, are channels. So how we will inform our customers about product and services, I mean, value proposition for them, and how we will deliver our value proposition to our customers. So let's go to the next building block. It's customer relationships. So how we communicate with our customers, how we help them if they have any problem with our value proposition, and so on. Now, do we have a tribe, for example, a cluster? Cluster needs to build a so-called tribe, people who want to be, members of the cluster, who have similar ideas, and so on. Let's go to the next slide. So we have first 4 building blocks, which are customers, that means our market, our value proposition, channels, customer relationships, and this all together give us offer some income for us. This building block is called revenue streams. This is the so what is needed to get some revenue? Let's go to the next slide. To produce a value proposition, we need some resources, some specific resources. So here we talk about specific resources for this value proposition, for this business model. We don't talk about all resources we as a company have. Let's go to the next. And if we want to produce a specific value proposition, we need to perform a specific key activities. In this case, in the business model, we are talking only about activities which are needed for this specific value proposition. Let's go to the next slide. And because sometimes or many times we don't have all resources we need, and we are not able to perform all services or all activities we must, we try to find some strategic partners. Strategic partners, for example, our main suppliers. It could be someone who has a specific knowledge we don't have, specific competencies. Someone who have some other resources we don't have. And the last building block on the next slide is costs. That means the main cost for this very specific business model. Okay, those are 9 building blocks. And from these 9 building blocks, we can design one very useful tool for designing business models. Let's go to the next slide. As you understand Chinese, here is written that a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. Thanks to Google. Let's go to the next slide. And from 9 building blocks, now we have a business model canvas on one sheet of paper where all 9 building blocks are put together, and we can use this tool for business model design. Let's go to the next. So you can see in the middle is value proposition, and we have customer segments, customer relationship, channels, revenue streams, key resources, key activities, key partners, and cost structures. When we talk about just few tips before the main tips at the end, when we talk about the customer segments, those are not only those who buy. There are maybe let's think about who buy the product, who use the product, who is decision maker about if they will buy or not buy, who is maybe who has the opposite opinion and don't want this product. You know, it's a specific part of our customer segment, and so on. In revenue streams, here we can think about how to get an income. Maybe we can buy once, or we can rent and get an income monthly, for example. Think about different possibilities. Start with one and then ask yourself, what if, what is possible here? In channels, we can think about what channels our customers do prefer. You know, not what is our wish, but what they wish, because we are delivering value for them, not for us. So, as I said, this is a tool called Business Model Generation Canvas, and it's you can use it for different purposes, not only for business model design. We'll tell something about during the presentation. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, here we will talk about 2 business model examples. You can see 2 tables. They are not the same, but they are pretty similar. Let's go to the next slide. And the table on the left, characteristics for this table are mass production. Table can be obtained immediately in a package adapted to the size of the trunk of an average car. It's the package is not so heavy, so you can handle with it. And for example, we can assemble the table by ourselves. We don't need the assistance. Maybe if we want, if you buy some bigger furniture, in this case, yes. And the price is less than 100 euros. So here I want to ask you, do you recognize the company? Please write this on the chat, or you can just raise a hand and tell what you think. Yeah, thank you, Katya. This is IKEA, really. And let's go to the next slide. Let's try to describe the business model of IKEA. So I will ask you, and you can write in the chat, what are 2 main customer segments for IKEA company? Or you can also raise a hand and tell, or just tell the idea. Let's do this exercise together. Yeah, thank you, Maxime. Individuals and families is the main customer segment for IKEA. And what could be the second one? The second one is okay, I will help you. The SMEs, businesses who need furniture for the offices. So let's go, for example, to the channels in the IKEA business model. What is the main channel for IKEA? Who would like to tell? Yes, specific supermarkets, very well seen from a long distance. And the second one is what? Is a website. So their main channels are supermarkets and website. But in some years ago, they had also a third channel. What was the third channel? Who would like to say the answer? No, no, we are talking about the channel. The third channel was a printed catalog, a printed catalog. They printed a lot of catalogs. You probably saw at least one. And because of the paper, they decided not to print these catalogs anymore because everything is on the web now. So what could be the revenue streams for the IKEA? Let's think about this. Thank you, Konstantinos. It was the second most printed book after the Bible, the IKEA catalog. Interesting. So let's talk something about the revenue streams. What is, let's call it the main revenue streams? It's okay, it's furniture sales. They're selling furniture, yes. What could be the second one? The second one could be the fees for their services. Yes, Maxim, food sales is also the specific revenue streams for IKEA because they don't only food and grocery sales. Yeah, because they don't only sell the furniture, but they have also the restaurants and grocery stores within the supermarket. So now we have three different revenue streams. First is furniture sales. The second one is fees for services, delivery and assembly. The third one is food and grocery sales, and the fourth one uh, is a leasing for the furniture, for example, for the businesses, for companies. Okay, maybe let's talk something about who could be the key partners for IKEA. Probably the material suppliers. And if you remember one IKEA supermarket, you saw there a spaces, a kitchen, living room, etc. And in the kitchen, you saw kitchen appliances. So producers who are not direct competitors of IKEA, producers of kitchen appliances are one of their key partners. What could be their key resources? Let's think about this. Yeah, okay, Joshi, thanks. Also, logistic partners, key resources. Yeah, client. We can talk about this. Yes, client is, but maybe client in this case is their trademark. Because client trusts their trademark. So we can say that the main results is a trademark. Their real estate, I mean factories and shopping centers, and their knowledge, or in other words, their employees who have the specific knowledge. Okay, this was one example for IKEA. It's not, it's not completely and 100% business model of IKEA. Is what we can design with the data we have about IKEA, because we are not on the high top level structures of this company to know everything, but we know something from the web, and we can explain how company produces value and cash the revenue with this data and design their business model. Let's continue with the question: what could be the value proposition for IKEA for IKEA company? I mean, not for IKEA company, but for the customers who buy IKEA products. What could be the value proposition? Okay, here can I help you a little? You can see on the right side, table can be obtained immediately in a package adapted in the size, blah, blah, blah. Price is not so important here. Maybe time saving is more important part of the value proposition than the price. But maybe the combination of both and also something else. So when we buy in IKEA, we are able to have the furniture in the same day, But in many other stores, we must wait for delivery for at least a few days of a week, maybe. Let's go to the next slide. Now, this is a similar product, a table, but in this case, it's made only by order. The waiting period could be 6 months or even more, and the price is several thousand euros. The same similar product, but a totally different business model. Let's go to the next slide. So, who is the main customers here? Okay, it's you can read on the right. Prestigious customers who have enough money to buy luxury products. That's all. What are the channels? What do you think? What are the channels for this type of products? Yes, could be. Thank you, Sandeep. High-end hotels, luxury audience, luxury magazines, and so on. One of the channels is their website, word of mouth as well. And let's take a look who are their key partners. The key partner is the company Rolls-Royce, because we are talking about the company Boucher & Co from Australia, who produces this luxury furniture, and they are partners with Rolls-Royce. They are producing or designing the interior of the Rolls-Royce cars. This was two examples of how business model can look like. Let's go to the next slide. And next. So, what are business model patterns? Next slide. Something what we can repeat several times. For example, one business model pattern is freemium. Everybody knows LinkedIn or Canva or similar products. Almost everything we use is for free, but some additional features is charged. So LinkedIn Premium, for example. Next slide, razor and blade. You can buy razor at a relatively low cost, and then buy the blades, which are expensive. and you repeat this buying several times. The examples are Gillette printers, Nespresso coffee machines, and so on. The next slide is a subscription business model. We will not talk about so much about this. It could be for newspapers, magazines, clubs, opera, but nowadays also for subscription boxes and content subscription, and etc. Let's go to the next slides. Product as a service. It's some kind similar like subscription business model. You don't buy a product, you are subscribed for a service. No, but it's not you are not pay the same price every month for this service, but according to the real use. For example, Rolls-Royce is an engine producer for airplanes, and in this business model, the avio companies pay for miles in the air, for working miles of the engine in the air. This is one example for products as a service business model, which is also one example for the circular business model. The second one example is Philips on the Amsterdam airport Schiphol. They have their lighting system as a product as a service. They charge for a light, not for light bulbs and the lighting. So let's go to the next slide. And multi-sided business platform is also one business model pattern. You probably know what I'm talking about. Do you have any idea what this could be? Okay, let's start with Facebook. Everybody knows what is Facebook. It connects 2 and more billion people with advertisers, then eBay, Amazon, and so on, and many, many other things. Let's go to the next. So this is the question: how many business models can an organization have? It could be one, yes. It could be one if it works well. But even if it works well, the organization can have many more business models. Let's go to the next slide. So depending on our specific customers, customers' needs, customers' interest, and so on, we can have different business models. For example, Mercedes usually sell cars for, how to say, standard customers. But they also rent their cars for a specific target group, Generation Z, who don't want to own cars. No, so they have 2 different business models for 2 different target groups. Let's go to the next. Examples of possible uses of the business model canvas. Yes. So you remember we came from 9 building blocks to the business model canvas. And this tool is not, we can use this tool not only for business model design. We can use it for understanding our customers, for understanding our competition. Like, for example, we try to identify the business model of IKEA. We use the canvas, business model canvas, and we was pretty good with this identification of their business model. So we can use canvas also for designing, testing, building new products and services. And the third one is very interesting. We can use it as a shared language across functions, across the departments in the organization. I'm engineer, and engineers will speak a different language than those who work in marketing, for example. And sometimes in the company, we don't understand each other. But if we use the same tool, which in this case is a business model canvas, we can understand each other with the help of the canvas. And this one more another one important thing, business model canvas is a tool for a visualization. So we can visualize our ideas and everybody can understand. You know, the Chinese proverb, 1,000 words, blah, blah, blah. So what is also important for this third way of use of business model canvas, usually at meetings, people started to talk a lot, talk blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the meeting, you can forget what did you talk about. But if they use, for example, this tool, they can understand each other and don't forget. Let's go to the next slide. What about circular, digital, and so on business models? Someone someone say that they are circular business model who are very specific something, and they don't use canvas, for example, or maybe they develop some other canvas for circular business models and so on. But is this do we really need this to do this? Let's go to the next slide. This is a canvas. With this tool, we can design or describe the business model. So what is so specific in circular business model? Let's start with customer segments. Customers are those who are really interested in circular products, who want to be the part of those who want to help the, name it, planet, nature, whatever. So we are talking about first two groups on the left side on the innovation curve. We are talking about innovators and about early adopters. We don't need to try to convince them because they want this, But we need to convince the other ones, the late majority, for example, those who don't know if they want or don't want this kind of products. So on the left side, we have highly motivated customers. We just need to find them. Of course, value proposition in a circular business model must be circular, or it must be. It must be produced with circular resources. The activities must be according to the circular economy principles. Reuse, dematerialize, blah, blah, blah. So what is usually named as a circular business model is more or less activity or a pattern, maybe, or pattern of activities of how to be circular in a business. And of course, in circular business model, we need partners who are circular, and we need to choose circular channels. Okay, let's go to the next slide and next. And very similar is when we talk about digital. But in this case, we don't need to think too much about customers because nowadays we are more or less, or all of us, at least, we are more or less all digitalized. We are able to use the digital products. So in digital business models, your value proposition is digital, key resources also digital, and so on. So here are some examples from the internet. 7 patterns of digital business models, different patterns, similar from what we have on previous slides, and some additional. So I mean, here you can see for example, Airbnb, eBay, Etsy is called peer-to-peer, but it could be also multi-sided platform and so on. Let's go to the next. When it's time to review the business model, when we have a business model, we must from time to time review it, because it's not business model. When we design a business model on a canvas, this is not forever. It's not doesn't mean that we have a business model for 100 years. So let's take a look when it's time to review the business model. Christina, can you? Okay. Just a moment.
First, as a small business, try to learn as many mistakes as possible from the others. Don't learn from the successful stories. The MBA teaches successful cases, but we should learn failure stories, why people fail. Because a lot of people fail, they have the same reasons. If you know why people fail and you learn that, you make progress. And second is that always do not learn from Bill Gates and Jack Ma. Learn from the people next door neighbor. He does the same thing, but he does much better. Why is that? And thirdly, my philosophy is repair the roof while it is still sunshine. When the company is good, change the company. When the company is in trouble, be careful. Don't move. Making sure that waiting for the terrible day go up. Just like if the storm comes, don't go up and repair the roof. You will be destroyed. So that's every time when I feel something good, when my people say, our team said, wow, we have a wonderful year, I know that's the signal we have to change. In small company, you can never have a wonderful days to enjoy long.
Thank you. Thanks. So the answer is, when you say everything okay, it's time to check the business model. So here we can see the top reasons why startups fail. And let's go to the next slide. We can see that at least 3 are connected with business model. So if there is no market need, that means that we don't have value proposition for potential customers. And this is the core part of the business model, for example. And okay, and at the end, some tips for using the business model canvas correctly. Let's go. The first one is never write on the canvas, use the sticky notes. And on the sticky note, write only one touched, not bullet points. This will help you to prevent the business model canvas will be overloaded with sticky notes, because if you must write only one touch, that means you must think about what to write on this one sticky note. Next slide. Yeah, as I said, write only one touch on each sticky note, not bullet points. Next slide. Use color coding. This is one example. In this business model, you have 2 main customer segments. One are internet users, and the second one, the other one is advertisers and marketers. So what is important here? When you use color coding, you can check if your business model is correct. if you have value proposition which is connected with customer segment, then it's okay. If you not have, like for example, on the next slide, here is one value proposition. There's not don't have customer segment. So this is not a value proposition for this business model. Or maybe when you think that you have another customer segment, but you recognize that you don't have a value proposition for this customer segment. That this also means that it's not in your they are not important in your business model. So the next tip is always use Canvas only for one idea, not combine 3 different ideas on one canvas. And similar tip is when you want to review, no, go back. When you want to review the business model and want to renew it, you must prepare 2 different business models. One as is, current business model, and one what you want business model could be in the future. Don't write ideas about these business models on the same canvas because you will be confused. Let's go to the next slide. At the beginning, when you start to design the business model, it's also important that you understand the problem your customers have and solution you offer for your customers. So you must find the problem solution fit in the first step, and in the next step, let's go to the next slide. You need to find also the product market fit, so choose the appropriate channels. And the last, maybe most important tip is where to start. It's not a rule where to start. You can start wherever you want, but usually we start, for example, with customers if we really know their problems. So we start with customers, continue with value proposition, then channels. Maybe we can start with resources. We can start like this. We have this and this and this resource. With this resource, we can deliver this. At the first step, we are talking about product. Who needs this kind of product? Those customers. What problems they really have, and so on. We can start whatever you want. Please go just for a minute, for a second. Go. Yes. And one more tip. It's not important to fill all the building blocks, because at the beginning you maybe don't have all the answers. So it's no need for fill the canvas 100% in all the building blocks. For the beginning, it's enough what you have at the moment. And that will be what we wanted to say about how to design building business models, and in which cases can you use this tool. Thank you for attention. Now it's time for questions and answers.
Thank you, Andrew, for this insightful presentation. I'm sorry if I speed up a bit. I just wanted to allow for some time for discussion and questions. I don't know if Orpheus, you would like to add anything related to the presentation, to this presentation today, or we can.
It's a mandatory tip. Always follow tips you've been given and always question them, right? So, first of all, Andrew, thank you very much for your presentation. It's one of the best I've seen for the specific matter. My only comment when it comes to models, etc., which I love, I'm one of those deterministic people that like models, tables, Excel file analytics, statistics, etc. But the issue is that when we create models, we try, to describe pretty much everything and take under consideration all the conditions for all circumstances. In some cases, this may not apply to you. Okay, you may have something quite innovative, quite new, a new idea, etc. Channels may not make sense for you. Business model may be something quite new. It may not be subscription. It may not be base of service as a per service. May not be a marketplace, whatever. But in any case, don't doubt the old knowledge. The video that was shown about check the mistakes of the others was quite intuitive. They say that an expert is the one that has made all the possible mistakes in a very specific direction. So yeah, if you have any questions on word support, people like Andrew, us, etc., are here to help you for that.
So are there any questions, or would anyone like to share any thoughts related to what you just attended, the content of this webinar?
Yes, I have one question.
Yes, please.
Andrew said that you always have to use one business model Canva for one product or service. And my question is, or I understood this, but does this mean that afterwards you could integrate them together, or do you have then, like, is it like that the company then has two business models for two different products, for example?
Yeah, this is, thank you for the question. It's a little tricky question. Yes, on one side, the company can have two different business models, but it can also integrate, if it's possible, different products and services in a bundle and have one business model for specific customers. I don't know if the company must define the value proposition of these bonded products and services which their customers want. It's, I don't know if I answered your question.
I agree with Andrew that it may be tricky. What is suggested is to always have these separate versions. And if it makes sense, you can integrate them. For example, they may both follow the same revenue model. They may be subscription-based services. Or if they have a different revenue model, they may somehow be linked to each other, okay? In some cases, you may have products or services, especially for smaller teams, smaller startups, etc., that in order to survive, may have to wear different hats and take on different roles, do some research for innovation projects from the EU, create a new product on the sideline, etc. In some cases, in that direction, not all of your services or products will be harmonized. So integrate everything may not make sense for you. If you have to provide an integrated version, let's say to an investor or whatever, you should focus on the one or two core business products you will have or services and present them then. And as a revenue stream, you could mention anything, any other supportive, let's say, activities, etc. So to sum up, it's good to always have a separate canvas in the beginning in order to have it clear for you that you may have a different or new customer segment for a specific product. And then if you see that integration would make sense and it wouldn't make things too blurry, you are free to do so. Or if the products have the same weight, the same value, right? Because if your product mix is 90% one product or service and 10% the other, you may not even have to present that side to others.
Yeah, understood. Like, can I ask another question? Because I can explain, for example, we have a technology which will allow us to make one product. But like the aim of the company is when three technologies come together. That's for us like what we consider the real interesting product. But also the one product where only one technology is integrated is already something you could sell. And therefore I'm thinking of like, okay, putting this into one business model. And what I've seen in the slides, that you used different colors of the sticky notes, and this would be a way, like if you decide to integrate it, that you still can see which is which.
Exactly. This type of color coding is common in order to make the linkage. It may get confusing because how do you color then the common areas? You may not color them at all. So have with, let's say, black all the common areas, blue for one product, red for another, etc.
Thank you.
I see in the chat we have an interesting question, Andrew. What is the value proposition related to e-cars? We can run an example if you want.
Yeah. When you talk about value proposition, we talk about three different kind of jobs. We talk about functional jobs, emotional jobs, and social jobs. So as engineers, for example, usually think about functional jobs, because we are trained to solve specific problems. But when we talk about car, what kind of job or value proposition is if you want to buy a Porsche, for example? For sure, it's not a functional job because you don't have a need to go from A to B, and have a machine for transportation. So it's emotional and social component in this value proposition is very high. And I think that similar for electrical cars, it's not a functional job, because functional job for transportation, you can use some other kinds of transportation, but I think that if you want to buy electrical car, you strongly believe that you are doing something good for the environment. And that means that electrical car, fulfills your emotional job. So you have electrical car, you are environmentally conscious, you are those few percent on the left side, one of those few percent on the left side of the innovation group who want this, or maybe one in the late majority who just want to show himself as one who is environment conscious. So I think that the main part of the value of electrical cars is emotional job, not functional. But maybe what do you think, Orpheus?
Oh, I can see that the discussion keeps going on in the chat. I don't know if Orpheus, you would like maybe.
Yeah, I would say that a very brief question because we are running out of time. So,
exactly.
not question, answer. Sorry. Value propositions can change depending on the environment, etc. As Andrew mentioned, exactly the value proposition of electric cars started in this direction: environmental footprint, synchronization with environmental aspects, etc., alignment with European or global policies related to the environment. But as all technologies and tools, things can change. So as it's mentioned in the chat, it can be practical. You have less taxes due to incentives, though, due to policies. It may be cheaper when it comes to fuel. In the past, it wasn't because it was too expensive to have a cars. We had the improvements in batteries, etc. You may have more integrated gadgets or whatever. It depends on the side products you can have from companies like Tesla, etc., etc. So the outcome here is that value proposition can change with times. So it's a matter of you observing also the changes in the environment and repackaging your outcome, because the features you are going to provide will be more or less the same, but the value proposition, the value is customer centric. So if let's say mentalities or needs change, you should also change how you present the value you provide or want to provide to end users. Christina, back to you to wrap up, I would say.
Thank you, thank you, everyone, for this insightful discussion, and of course, thank you, Andrew, for the presentation. I hope you found it very useful. It gave you useful insights for your future planning. I would like to remind that for the Innovate beneficiaries, in case more information is needed regarding this specific service, you may contact your monitoring partner, and we will come back to you for more specific feedback. And thank you all for being here with us today, and see you in the next Innovate webinars.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.